Hi, I'm Alan Hedblum. Welcome to our show, a place to feel like you belong. Our guest today is a war survivor with humblest roots. Orphaned at age 6, Phillip Nguyen spent a dozen years bouncing between poor relatives and the harsh streets of South Vietnam. A refugee with, in his words, nothing to lose, he landed in the United States with determination to succeed. And decades later, Phillip is president of Digital Marketing Solutions and the president-elect of the Vietnamese American Association of Grand Rapids. Phillip, it's such a pleasure to welcome you to Feel Like You Belong.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, for people who aren't familiar with modern Vietnamese history, 1968 was a big year. The Tet Offensive, you were 3 years old at the time, and your dad disappeared. 3 years later, at age 6, your mom was killed in an accident. And all of a sudden, you're orphaned. Tell us about the next dozen years of your life.
It's tough, very tough. But I was lucky enough to get some relative that I can stay with, And I have some aunt and uncle, but, most of them are pretty poor. So I live place to place, and sometimes living with my friends, even at that age, and carefree, to put it that way. I can go for weeks without anyone notice. Anyone care.
But I remember when we talked earlier, you said you were really the poorest of the poor.
Absolutely, that is the correct term.
Yeah. So you had no shoes?
Well, but I don't remember what happened to shoes.
Okay.
And like I said, my kid, now they have all kind of shoes, and they often ask me what is my favorite brand name. I said leather.
Anything that fits and keeps the ground away from your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My own skin, that.
Sure. But I want to go back to your childhood because then until age 18, you had this very, uncertain existence. And then when you were 18, one day your aunt came to you and she said, "Come see me, but at nighttime, I can't tell you what it's about." What was that?
Yeah. Well, at the time, a lot of Vietnamese trying to get off Vietnam via the boat, So, one day that I got my aunt came by, and I live about, I think, a couple miles away from where she is, and she said, come to my house tonight. It's a special thing that I want to tell you. Now, at that time, I know something special. I think I could predict that we are trying to get out of Vietnam.
Okay.
But at the time, if the news get out, if someone knows that you're trying to get out of Vietnam, and if the police know, it's over. So, yeah.
So this was after South Vietnam had fallen to the communists.
This is 80.
Okay.
1980.
So it had been 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Sure. So you were able to get out that evening.
Yep. With supposed to be 28 people, but ended up at 50 something on a tiny boat. Yeah. We took us a few days to get to China, little islands called Hainan.
Okay.
And then from there we go to Macau, and from Macau we go into Hong Kong.
Sure. So on the journey, on the voyage, was there ever any concern, because it sounded like the boat was way overloaded with people?
Oh,
were you concerned about capsizing?
We see dead people everywhere. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
There was, I don't remember, but I got seasick most time. But my cousin told me that there's one wave hits our boat, and we rowed on that boat that way for almost 3 hours. But I remember there was a stop that we stopped, and I see a lot of dead body floating. And we know that those are Vietnamese people that got hit by the typhoon a day earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just bad timing that they were out in their boats trying to go to safety, trying to go to freedom.
Yep.
Wrong day, wrong weather.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of people missing, a lot of people died along the way. So
sure. When you were in Hong Kong, you were in a refugee camp, correct?
yes.
So, and you had actually some options. They said, "Oh, would you like to go to Norway? Would you like to go to Canada?" And you kept holding out. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was living in an orphanage home. Now remember, this is kind of different. I am 4 years older than my actual driver license or whatever.
Than your official age.
That's right. So I went to get to Hong Kong. I was 17 at the time. 17. I never knew my real age, let's put it that way. Okay. And my kid always making fun of me. But I know that I'm older than what I told, because when you're going to get to the refugee camp, this is like a scam for everyone doing. If you're young, everyone telling you that you want to go to have a chance to go to school, then you have to lower your age, because you can't. So almost everyone doing that. Well, I lowered I think a few age. I didn't know how many, but I told them 1969. That's my age. Later on, I find out that when I got back to Vietnam, my aunt making fun of me. I said, "No, you 64, 65, somewhere in there." Anyway, so going back to that, I was living in an orphanage home in Hong Kong, and then a lot of people make me offer, because we have a lot of people from Europe coming over to refugee camp and seeking to adopt kids, and I always come up the first because I'm actually an orphan. The rest of my friends are just kids that still have their mom and dad in Vietnam or wherever.
Had escaped, but still had living parents.
That's right.
Sure.
So I got offered to settle in Norway, Sweden, you name it, always, and I always turned down. I said, I only want to go to America. Okay, so at the time, sometimes they threatened me and said, if you don't take the offer, you may never get a chance to. I said, I'm gonna take my chance, So finally it came. So.
And you settled in Grand Rapids.
Yep.
With was it with Bethany Christian Services?
That's right. I believe Bethany Christian Service work with the World Vision children's, and that's how I settled here.
Sure. And you bounced around to a couple of foster families at that time. And what I recall from our earlier conversation was you only had second, third grade education back in Vietnam, and then had to leave school. And then all of a sudden here you are, and they're, because of what they thought was your age, sending you to an American high school. How hard was that for you?
I remember sitting in the algebra class, and I have, like I told you, I have I have few girls, blonde girls, want to sit by me, because they think I'm smart because I'm Asian, and lo and behold, I barely know any mathematics. I can't do division in 2 digits,
Okay.
Because I only have second grade or so. In Vietnam,
But they were stereotyping you. Oh, sit next to the Asian guy because he can do math. Yeah.
And they found out I wasn't good at all.
Oh, move back to the other side of the classroom. So, what really struck me though was your perseverance to you had some great guidance, some great support from your final foster family that really worked to nurture you, get you through school, and then you were able to go to college.
Yep. First of all, I always want to learn. I am a vivid reader. I read anything I grab on, and So a lot of people, a lot of Vietnamese, when they talk with me, there's no way that I got second grade in Vietnam, because most of it because I read so much, and that helped me out great deal. And with the determination, I like school. That's what it is. You don't have to be really smart, but if you really like school, that's what it helped me a great deal. Yeah. So.
And impressively, you earned first a business degree and then later a computer degree. And tell about what you do now with your company, Digital Marketing Solutions.
We start out as a web design firm, then we move on to web application, higher level, and right now we mostly help customers to create online auctions. So most of the anyone who wants to run an online auction, we are the firm that help them out. So
okay,
it's been good.
Okay,
it's been good.
And you're having fun.
Oh, great fun. Yeah, great fun.
Great. We have to wrap up in just a minute here, but when we were talking earlier, we were talking about this notion of identity, because some immigrants come to a new place and they say, glad to be here, this is America, I'm learning English, and what is in the past can leave in the past, and I'm going to be here. But you have a profound sense of history, and even though you're a citizen, and I see your proud American flag lapel pin.
That's right. I wear it everywhere.
But you still have a very special place in your heart for Vietnam. Why is that?
Well, I am a vivid reader, and I love history, and I read a lot of Vietnamese history, and I'm so proud of it because we went through so much in the last so many years. There's no other country in this planet, as far as I know, that have so much. We under the rule of Chinese for more than 1,000 years, and then we have the French, and then the Japanese and whatnot. But still, at the end of the day, we still retain our identity as one nation.
Kept your language, kept your culture.
That's right, and that's something to be proud of. And yes, I am very proud as an American, and most of all, I think the thing that you didn't ask me is what make me so determined and so strong in what I went through since the last 30 years or so when I left Vietnam, is that I found Jesus when I was in the camp.
Okay.
And that by a American missionary. I don't know his name. I only know his name in Andrew, but I don't remember where. But that's where I found God and never looked back.
Okay.
And that all the strength I have and everything I accomplished is all to Him.
And you get a chance, actually, we were talking earlier, tomorrow you and your wife are getting on a long plane flight or series of flights and going back to touch base with your roots. So I'm really pleased that you're able to do that. And
thank you.
When you come back and we're celebrating the Vietnamese New Year together next month, I'll look forward to hearing more about that.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for the community radio on television, and you guys done a great job.
Well,
Thank you.
You're doing really great things in the community, Phillip, so I appreciate that. And again, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you. People like you and like this kind of show really make a big difference in the community. I appreciate it.
Appreciate hearing that. So for everyone who's watching back home, please stay tuned because we'll be back shortly with some tips on American English, American culture, and a little humor. How would you react in an emergency? Would you risk your life to help someone in danger? An article in the Wall Street Journal gives us several examples. A gardener in New York State looked up and noticed a confused 81-year-old driver stuck on a railroad crossing near her house. She ran barefoot to the car, pulled the woman out, rolled together down the railroad bank, covering the old woman with her body just moments before a train smashed the automobile. The hero was slightly injured. The old woman was unhurt. Until we encounter that crisis, we won't know if we will step up to the challenge or freeze up and do nothing. Recently, scientists have identified the qualities and attitudes that separates heroes from the rest of us. There was the case of the Brooklyn, New York man who caught a 7-year-old child falling from her apartment window. The force of the child's weight did severe damage to his arm muscles and nerves, requiring months of physical therapy. But in that moment of crisis, his only prayer was to not miss the falling child, who was saved without a scratch. Could we have done that, we wonder? The article told of a military officer who refused to leave the side of a soldier who had a grenade embedded in his leg. He stayed with the injured man until the evacuation team could get the soldier to a bomb squad who safely extracted and carried away the explosive. The officer didn't have to accompany the injured man, but he had promised he would stay with him until the explosive was removed. Are we as brave as these heroes? According to psychologists, there are 7 questions to gauge yourself by answering on a scale of strongly agree to strongly disagree. The higher your score, the more likely it is that you are brave, empathic, hopeful, and coping. All the traits that are required to be heroic in an emergency. Question 1. I have tender, concerned feelings for people less fortunate than me. Question 2. Fear does not keep me from pursuing my goals. Question 3. I try to understand my friends better by imagining how things look from their perspective. Question 4. Despite numerous setbacks, I usually succeed at getting what I want. Question 5. Fear does not stop me from doing the right thing. Question 6. I want to be competent, and I believe I can be. And question 7. Being truthful is extremely important to me. So, what do you do if you get a low score? Well, don't beat yourself up. Most of us aren't heroes. We'll just have to be content at being good at something else.